So I wanted to show you guys my finished product before I show you the video and how I kind of drew all these details. Because before you start drawing, you might want to think about the end product and the color that you're going to be adding. Now, I knew that my gingerbread house was going to be surrounded by snowy hills, so I didn't want my gingerbread house to be really white. I wanted it to have some contrast and stand out, so that's why I chose to do most of my house in brown and just have a little bit of white with that icing. So in a lot of gingerbread houses, you will see a lot of kind of that white icing or frosting in a lot of places, but because I knew it was going to be surrounded by white, I chose to add color instead. I also stuck with kind of a main color theme for my accent colors, where I just worked with 5 different crayons, or colored pencils in my case. You guys can use markers, crayons, whatever you have. If you have paint, go for it. So you can think about having a color scheme and a kind of a plan in mind for when you are adding your color. I obviously had to use a little bit of brown for my gingerbread house, and then I used kind of layered some black and some kind of blue purple in the background too for the sky. And a little bit of gray, just kind of add some shadows and shading in the snow so that it wasn't so flat looking. So those are things to think about as you are adding your details. So I'll go ahead and show you kind of how I did some of these ideas. But again, you guys might not even be doing a gingerbread house, so if you don't want to see this, you don't have to watch it all. But if you are interested in learning how I kind of drew these, you can watch me draw and kind of talk you through some of the basic shapes and forms that I use to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned before, I'm going to draw some of those details, and I wanted to plan ahead and be thoughtful about what I'm doing. And I do have a big empty space down here, so I'm going to fill it up with something so that there is a place for my eye to go when it's looking around. I'm going to draw a snowman here. So what I'm going to do first is kind of draw a kind of like a little kind of flat curvish line so that I can establish where my snowman is sitting so he doesn't look like he's just floating. So just kind of a little line that maybe is flat, maybe has just a tiny little bit of a movement to it or a curve so it doesn't look super flat. And I'm going to do these kind of almost like parentheses or curved lines. And then a smile on top of that to show the bottom of that circle. And we're not drawing complete circles because they are stacked, so that's why we're not drawing the whole circle except for the head. So I got a head, a little circle, and then 2 kind of circles that are kind of cut off around the top. Just drawing some lines with little sticks on the end for the hands, little lines at the end. Put as many little fingers on there as you want, right? It's supposed to be a stick, so it could have all these little bumps and edges. Who knows? Just a couple little circles for the eyes, a triangle for the nose. It's long and skinny, and you can make that go in any direction you want. And then just a couple more circles that are moving in kind of a smile line type shape. And then I'll throw a few more black circles in here so he has some buttons on there. I'm also going to draw his hat, but maybe I'll draw it so that it's kind of blowing off just to add a little bit more interest to the design. So I'm going to put some kind of swirls or spirals over here to show movement with the wind, and draw the hat kind of blowing off. So we can see the wind is coming from the left, so the hat is kind of blowing off with that direction that it's coming from. So I'm going to show movement with the hat by curving those lines. And maybe just put a few more motion lines around that as well. And then maybe give my hat a little pattern, some stripes. You can give it whatever you want, some stars, polka dots, whatever you can think of. And let's think about what else we could add over here. So we have a lot more empty space that we can think about filling up. So I think what I will do is maybe I'll just draw a few little footprints in the snow that are maybe leading to the house. Who knows what it is, but I think that will kind of be fun and make the viewer question what is going on. I'm going to take a look at these hills next and think about how I can enhance them. So I'm going to put some pine trees on them using triangular shapes. So I'm going to draw a triangle kind of floating above the hill. And then underneath it, I'm going to draw more triangles. We don't see the tops of them because they're hiding underneath of them. So they're kind of more like a trapezoid, actually. So start with the triangle, and then go underneath that and do diagonals and then horizontal to make your trees, or you could just do a straight tall triangle. It's totally up to you. I like this style and this design. It kind of adds a little bit more interest to it. And then just put in a little rectangle underneath the last triangle to make the trunk. And what else can we do? Let's put, you guys, I mean, you can think of other things besides trees. You could draw little guys skiing or sledding down the hills. I think I'm going to add a moon in the sky. I'm going to do more of a crescent moon, so I'm drawing kind of like a letter C, and then a smaller C inside that where the points connect, and it's a little bit wider on the inside. You can draw like Santa flying through the sky, or his reindeer, or birds, or clouds. Whatever you guys can think of. I mean, it doesn't have to be real, it could be fantasy. So have fun with that. And I think maybe the last thing that I will do down here, I have a little bit of space in the bottom right corner. Maybe I'll just draw like a little elf, maybe a little grumpy elf sitting down here, or gnome, whatever he is. So I'm going to use some basic lines and shapes for that. So I'm going to draw a triangle with a little circle on top for the hat. And his nose is kind of peeking out, so a circle right underneath our triangle. And a big kind of smile line to connect the triangle on each side for the head. Just drawing some kind of pointy, kind of curved lines for the ears. Big curve with a flat bottom for his body, and then just kind of two little curved lines for the arms and legs. And if you want to give him a little design, I'm putting some polka dots on his hat, and I think he also needs a little detail on his shirt, so just adding a few buttons with two vertical lines on each side. I think that's all I'm going to draw. You guys could always do more, but I really want the focus to be kind of on the foreground with my house, and the other things just kind of brighten it up and enhance it, so I don't want to do too much more to distract from my gingerbread house. I hope you guys had fun with this project. I would like to see you color it, and I hope that I see a variety of different kinds of houses and not just a bunch of gingerbreads. Bye!